I'm Ken.
I'm Kenny.
It's been a while since we've been with you folks out there. And today we're going to talk about, on our little podcast here, we're going to talk about road rage. We've talked a little bit about that in the past. And car driving etiquette.
Why?
Why?
Why do we need to talk about this?
He sounds angry, doesn't he, folks?
Because there's too many silly nincompoops on the road. And I don't understand why people the way that they are as far as driving and think. And you know what? As a disclaimer, sure, I am that same person that thinks I own the road sometimes when we're on the interstate and you should be on the right lane. However, I think everyone needs to self-check themselves. I'll include myself into the mix, but it's like, I don't know. I run into a lot of situations. Sure, they're menial, but it makes a huge difference once you make it better. I don't know.
How do you make it better on the road?
You practice. You discipline yourself. You learn the rules of the road. You get out of the way.
Road rage is an aggressive or angry behavior exhibited by motorists. So one way we could take care of road rage, say that 3 times fast. We could take care of it by getting rid of more motorists. I'm not laughing at you people out there. I'm just saying that Kenny brings up a good point, that the behaviors that people have are about being rude or verbal insults or physical threats. That's dangerous. That's true. True road rage is really bad. I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
I've taken out more road rage probably just to the walls of the inside of my vehicle.
And I've hit my steering wheel and yelled like out loud, and it just
feels better. It's a vent a little bit.
And the event of it, yes. Like, well, I will say it doesn't feel better at the time, but just like being able to yell inside your car, just like it does, you're not holding anything back, because we live in a society where you hardly have any places to go to kind of do that kind of stuff unless you have a recording studio. But it's like, yeah, Dad and I have been prone to road rage to where at least for me, and I'm pretty sure it's the same for you, when we see someone do something that they obviously like, why did you do that? Mm-hmm. Just flips my switch to where you shouldn't do that. I wish you knew that you shouldn't have done that. And I wish I could give you all the reasons why you shouldn't have done that. And you can't do anything because they're on the road. They're just doing whatever they want. Sure.
My pet peeves are in that space that, I don't know, they're maybe kind of limited. Some of the worst ones are running a stop sign. We all roll stop signs.
I definitely rolled.
Right. Mm-hmm. Stop and roll. That's fine. Police officers, we know you do it too, because I see you doing it. If I see you as a police officer, then I make my wheels stop turning so that I come to a full and complete stop. But what I'm talking about is people busting through intersections, or when I'm driving down highways, like 4-lane highways out in the country, and there are stop signs on roads coming up to the highway, and quarter of a mile in front of me, I can see somebody come up to it and not bother stopping, or somebody blatantly running through red lights. Or I've seen probably 20 or 30 times in the past 10 years, people driving blatantly without any regard to the law down the left side of a 4-lane, like closed road, like Murfreesboro Road, where you got 4 lanes and a center turn lane.
Oh, you get that all the time.
For miles. No, I'm talking about, the first time it happened to me, I couldn't believe that I was seeing it.
Yeah.
And, what typically happens too is, and we appreciate the police that serve, and we thank them for their service, and please do not fund the police departments. Actually, there probably needs to be twice as many out there. So we got your back, police officers. But when somebody's breaking the law, nobody's around. That's usually how it goes, right? Or anyways, this guy comes in one of these Cadillacs with the 30-inch wheels on it.
Yeah.
And just pulls out. We're lined up all the way back to.
This has happened to you.
A mile or two from coming into town here. And excuse me, got a frog in my throat. And this guy just pulls out of traffic and drives down the left side of the highway, which is the oncoming 2 lanes.
Yeah.
Just zigzagging and zigzagging for 2 miles and then turned left into one of the neighborhoods and disappeared.
My experience is a little bit less on the interstate because anything can happen on the interstate. I've seen people drive throughout the interstate. People go 10, sometimes 20 over the interstate. I've been to a lot of states that drive a little bit worse than Tennessee does. Not a lot, because we do have some particular areas in Tennessee that are bad. But the experience, for example, with what I get angry, I don't mind that on the interstate because there's plenty of room. I'm not saying that's legal. Disclaimer, I'm not trying to encourage that to anybody to do that. My thing is, if you're on less popular roads, like, for example, if you're on a main road going downtown from your city block or from your town, and like, for example, if we're going to our city or our town going towards Nashville, there's that main road. I'm not going to name it, but it's that main road that you can take all the way to the city instead of the interstate. Coming sometimes back from my fiance's house, there's this one guy. It's always been a Nissan. I've been wanting to take a picture of his license number and send it to the chief of police. But this guy, like, road speeds in a more dangerous, too close for comfort kind of way. Teenagers and youths will always be doing this kind of race thing. I get it, whatever. But the thing is, when it's in the middle of the night, there's not a whole lot of people on this road going home from wherever they're at, especially if it's late at night around 11 a.m. This guy would, like, be on my tail and then all of a sudden move and cut across somebody in front of them. There's no room in front of me. When I see something like that, I usually speed up so that they have no room. And again, this is not good practice. Road
etiquette. Maybe
etiquette. I would just say scenarios where I'm not going to let this guy get past in front of me. If you ever seen people where you have someone that's trying to get by, but then you like work with truckers do this all the time. Truckers will like block a 2-lane interstate so that nobody passes through because people are driving dumbly
or coming up the shoulder. Right.
So I was trying to do that with the guy in front of me because it was basically me, the crazy guy behind me, another guy that was to the right of me, but behind, and then 2 cars in front. So, the guy that was behind me cut across the guy that was pretty much on my right my rear right passenger side, cut across in front of him, going up to the bumper of the next car in the right lane. I sped up a little bit with the guy that was in front of me, so this guy would not have any room to pass by because I'm like, no, you're not going to do this. Like, you're driving recklessly, like too close for comfort. And this kid, I don't know. I mean, it was wide. It was very wide enough to where a motorcycle could go through it, but not a car. This guy somehow does it anyways. And that infuriated me. Sure. And of course, as soon as he passed everybody, he's going like 90 miles per hour on a 60 or a 55.
Right.
And I can't, I'm not, there'll be times where I'll try and catch up. Oh, I can hear them now.
That was funny.
There's a car in the background. It was just revved up. He's listening. But that infuriates me. Mm-hmm. That infuriates me for people and motorcyclists to just cut across.
Right.
Like, And I've seen motorcyclists coming. I know they're from California because it's the only state that does it, that they think they can go through those middle lanes whenever they want.
Right.
That is not the case here in
Maybe from
Tennessee.
South America.
It is definitely not South America. That guy looked gringo as heck.
Gringo?
Yeah.
You and I are gringos.
I'm half gringo.
Yeah, but it would, like you said, if you, that kind of gets me upset too, is just we're taught to leave a safe zone,
mm-hmm.
right? And most of us keep that even kind of tight because we don't want people filling up our safe zone. So we have a tendency to drive a little closer, which is bad if you're at highway speeds or, 55 and above, or if you're out on the highway and you're going 79 miles per hour in a 70 mile an hour zone. And there's, like you said, there's maybe a room for a car in front of you, but then somebody pulls in front of you to fill that spot. And, I've driven large vehicles before, or my brother drives a truck. Somebody pulls into that safe zone in front of a trucker. They have automatic brakes. People don't realize that a lot of the new modern semi trucks have radar systems built into them that will activate the brakes on the truck.
Yeah, which is dangerous if you get right in front
of them. As my brother told me, what happens when that happens to him now, if somebody pulls in front of him into that safe zone up close to his bumper, it slams on his brakes, or at least puts on his brakes. Well, that gets sent back to the home office automatically through the GPS and the tracking system.
Through his
He then gets a phone call that says, "Oh, we understand you've had an incident. You need to call us." So he has to stop in his route, pull over, call the office, and report to them what's happened, because they think he may have been in an accident or an incident.
Yeah.
So he, even though it's not, he has to explain, nope, somebody pulled into the safe zone. Somebody pulled up close to me. When they cut in front of me, it slammed on my brakes. I'm okay. The truck's okay. The equipment's okay. Everything's good. Well, now he's lost, 15, 20, 30 minutes of his time.
It's a waste of time, and he could get deducted from his payment,
so he's not getting paid to get the delivery on time, and all this other stuff happens. So people don't, obviously people don't respect big rig truckers. And, honestly, there's a lot of truckers out there. I shouldn't say that. There are truckers out there amongst the truckers that are also idiot drivers, right? That are not safe, and they don't practice safe driving. I had a guy in a semi pass me. I was probably doing 80 going down to where I work. And this guy was doing at least 10 miles an hour over me.
Yeah.
In a fully loaded truck.
I've seen truckers do that.
And then I get over the big hill towards the end, and he's slowed down, and and I pass him like, well, what was that all about?
And they also, truckers, I understand y'all are bigger vehicles. And to some degree, yes, we should watch out for you and watch out for your blind spots. But in the incidents that I've experienced where I'm obviously in view of you, you can see me coming up, and you still decide to get over to the lane to almost run me off the road, you guys need to be careful with that. And again, I'm not saying every trucker. It's the ones that don't know how to drive.
I think maybe it's like the idea that here in the United States, I think it would be a good idea that everybody, once they finish high school, 2 years of military service. Everybody.
That's what Israel does.
Right. That's right. And it's a good opportunity. And anyways, maybe when we're getting our driver's license, maybe we should all have to drive like a truck, like a semi truck, just for a few minutes.
Yeah. So
that we understand what it's like to be in a big rig that's almost as wide as the lanes and the clearances that they have to deal with. They don't have a lot of room. And I know this from driving in other big vehicles like a moving truck or something like that, where you got a 26-foot truck. That's, it's not a semi, but it's the same thing. Mirrors are the only thing that actually is sticking out past the allowable legal limit of the width of the vehicle. You got to watch what you're doing. And there's not a lot of room to take corners and do things like that.
Well, and that's, we've talked about this before and we're just not talking about reckless drivers. We're talking about you slow drivers too. You slow drivers need to move the lane over.
At least go to the speed limit.
Yes. Why are you going 5 or 10 below And I know your speedometer's off. I know mine is a little bit. It's supposed to be going a little bit faster. So when mine says 35, you're going slower than that. So again, I'm not trying to be mean or anything to all of y'all, but you slow drivers need to move a lane over. That's why.
Like you're talking about like not in the high speed lane on the highway.
Yeah. So in Tennessee, at least, I'm not sure about everyone else, but I think it's a universal fact. Look it up. I had to argue someone about that because they thought otherwise on a 4-way stop sign. The person to the right of you has the right of way. But going back to the fast lane, if you're going slow, if you're going the speed limit or moderately slow, you need to be on the right lane regardless. If you're going in the turn, that's fine. I've been that person because Dad has picked me out from it, where I would hug the left lane all the time whenever we go somewhere. That's just because I know that's the fast lane. It's a free flowing lane that keeps on going. But you're not always the fast one. And I understand that. So I've put into practice when I'm in the left lane and somebody's coming from behind me, I usually try and make it an effort to get in the right lane for them to pass me. And I get back on when there's no one in there. And that needs to be for everyone, because that's what in the manual it says. If you're for slower vehicles, including truckers, they have to be in somewhat not in the right lane. Like if you're on a 3 or 4 lane highway, obviously you need to take the rightish lanes to be out of the way. And of course, if you're going to be on the very fast part, you need to be in the left side part of the interstate lanes. So, and people just don't understand that. And when people are going 10 under on the left lane, that drives people insane.
It's also a hazard.
It is a hazard.
You wouldn't do what you do down in Alabama. They passed a law
recently,
a year or two ago, maybe.
So recently. Kind of recently.
If you're not driving with a purpose in left lane on highways, you can now get pulled over.
A purpose? Like, what do you mean? What does that define?
The Alabama Anti-Road Rage Act went into effect September 1st of 2019.
Oh, wow.
But there's still some confusion about the rules of the new law. The rule is you're only allowed to drive in the left lane to pass another car. Do not drive in the left lane for more than 1.5 miles.
Oh, wow.
Exceptions. Congestion. If traffic is preventing you from driving in the right lane, you can remain in the left lane. Bad weather and road hazards. The new law states you are allowed to drive in the left lane if these conditions are present. Exit and toll. When your exit is on the left and you're paying a toll, you're allowed to be in the left lane. Authorized vehicles. Law enforcement and first responders while on duty are allowed to drive in the left lane. Construction. Of course, that's obvious. It says here, what did it say? Retired state trooper and sponsor of the law said that it was designed to cut down on road rage incidents. They were gonna issue warnings at first.
Is there like a statistics on if that has actually made improvements?
Made a difference? I don't know. It says it was similar. The penalties are similar to a speeding ticket.
I can understand where people might get a little confused, because having how far, for example, how far from a construction zone can you be on the left lane, like after you pass it or before you get into it? And then, as far as purpose, what does that define? Like, what happens if somebody they have to go to the hospital? Is that under with purpose? I can understand where the definition and stuff gets.
That's probably what they're talking about, but
it's interesting. And
it's one attempt to try to get it under control, to get people out of the hammer lane if they're going slow, or people that pull into the hammer lane. And we've done this. I know you and I have both experienced this on long trips where you get into a group of vehicles that are traveling together. Like if we're driving to Oklahoma or Texas, and you're driving with the same group of people because you end up passing a car or a pickup truck or an SUV, and you pass them like 4-5 times in a couple hour period. You know, when you're driving, it's kind of boring sometimes. Yeah. So you just kind of looking at monitoring and looking at what's going on the road. And it's like, well, I already passed that guy. What are they doing? So what am I trying to say? My pitch line for this is people need to use their cruise controls, not their foot.
Yeah.
Right. If you're traveling long distances, so let's jump out on the highway instead of staying in town. If you're driving on long trips, I use a cruise control. If I'm on a long stretch and it's 35 miles an hour, I use a cruise control. I try to use as much as possible, let the vehicle keep the speed more constant. And I think that people would find that is easier to drive that way. They'll get better gas mileage and, you know, it won't fatigue them as much. But at the same time, if you're doing those things, you can tell the people are not using the cruise control because you wouldn't be passing them 5 times.
Yeah.
That means they're letting off on the gas. They're busy doing something else in the car. They're on their phone. And of course, Tennessee's got a, hands-free law where you're supposed to be using a headset. I wish they'd deputize me. If I could make money doing it, I would bust people all day long that I see.
Well, it's still because it's hard to do that because they still do that.
Sure.
The only thing is, at least I've noticed, is now they have that mount, and it's hard to get someone like, I see you on your phone, but
I see people, and of course nobody's going to see this in the podcast, where they hold their phone up to their mouth, and it's like this.
Oh yeah, which you can't do. Yeah, you're not supposed to be holding your phone up or talking
up to their head.
You're supposed to either have it on speaker, which can be hard if you have it near an AC. I've experienced that. Or you need to have, like you said, a headset to talk to people. Right. You can no longer put it up to your phone, but people do it anyway.
There's enough options out there. You can wear hands free. You can wear your
pods and the new cars nowadays have
microphones into
the sun visor. Well, the new dashboards in these new cars now, you can connect your phone, and they have Apple or Google or Android integration to connect your phone into the car system, so you can answer and use the speakers like you said. And that's kind of where it's leaning towards, and why it's not that much big of a deal. But yeah, you're right. I haven't seen.
I see a lot of people.
Have you?
Okay. Oh yeah.
I really haven't.
It's like they're not going to be told what to do about their headsets, and being that I'm a pilot, I'm thinking everybody ought to wear headsets, and we ought to be under some kind of ground traffic control, just like air traffic control.
Well, and I think we've talked about this before. People that are driving cars, if it becomes more of a road rage problem statistically, I think everyone needs to go back and have a refresher course.
I have to take a check ride every 2. I have to take a check ride every 2 years as a pilot, and to prove that I'm still safe for myself and others.
And I have to retake safety tests in order to drive a forklift. Right. And so if we're having all this reevaluation stuff for these heavy, big vehicles and machinery, why can't we do it for our vehicles?
Yep. I see you. People hate us for this, but if you want to give a tip to the counties, if they want to make money, stop pollution testing cars. Just make sure the manufacturers have it. And if the cops see a car going down the highway that's putting out a smoke screen like James Bond, they should pull them over and give them a ticket for it. But otherwise, stop doing that. And if they want to make money, is make people get retested.
Yeah, like
with an instructor.
Or for example, let's put this scenario. What if you caught someone speeding? This is just an example, or recklessly driving up to 2 or 3 times. On the 3rd time, they're like, all right, if you want to wish to continue to drive on your car and safety on public roads, you're going to have to retake your tests.
Right.
and go through all the scenario as you did when you were 16 or however old, just to make sure you understand the rules of the road.
Right.
People can argue with me like, well, it's my car, I can do whatever. That's true. It's your car. You can drive it on your own property.
Actually, if it was on your own property. Yes.
But if you're on public road provided by the city, sorry, it's their rules.
So the person would say, well, I'm a taxpayer. Well, I'm a taxpayer too.
I'm a taxpayer too.
So we actually are all sharing
the road.
It's not. It's
like an HOA neighborhood.
It's not a right to drive. Yeah. It's a privilege to drive. There's a difference. A right means that you can't question it, right? A privilege means if you don't obey the limits or you are potentially harming yourself or others, then we can take that privilege away from you.
And that's what I'm hoping to get people to understand, is just to kind of diffuse the road rage, is to just be mindful on your surroundings and those that you're driving with. And again, and there's just so much that you can improve on yourself. And this goes to a lot of stuff, and not trying to judge, but we can all be better of ourselves in a lot of ways. Like, I can be better at not speeding up towards people and riding on their tail if I think they're driving slow, or if these people are driving slower, they could speed up. Another thing that I wish they would know that a lot of people would use is their indicator lights.
Turn signals.
Their turn signals. There's too many times where people think, well, I'm turning, you should know that I'm turning, when I don't see your turn signal going left or right or moving over to a lane. Truckers do that too. And a couple times they almost ran me over just because I had no idea they were turning into the lane. There are no, and if you can't use those, use the caution lights. At least we'll know something's up.
Right. Maybe there's technology maybe on the forefront. They have mirror markers and things when a car is nearby. It's kind of a light radar kind of thing that lets you know someone's passing you. Or I'm not a fan of the automatic braking, because the commercials they show is that people are just like totally not paying attention to driving,
which is
and keep running over somebody in a bicycle.
Can't encourage
that.
Yeah,
it's like, stop it and learn how to park your car yourself. You don't need to have a system park your car. But road rage, I was reading this statistic about road rage that was taken July of this year. Said commonly characterized by aggressive driving as a factor in more than 50% of all car crashes that end in fatalities. More than 50%, according to AAA. In a years-long study, they had road rage episodes resulted in about 30 deaths and 1,800 injuries per year. So, it's, and I'm sure that it's worse in some areas, but there's a lot of people out there that just have I shouldn't say they don't have any business on the road, but how do you control that? There's so many drivers. How do you really mandate and control who's allowed to drive? And, if you get pulled over and they say, well, you can't drive anymore, if they don't throw you in jail, which would physically keep you from being able to drive, if they give you a ticket, or let's say you get 3 speeding tickets, or, that are, maybe you're going 100 3 times or something, rather than go, we're taking your license away. Okay, well, even if they impound your car, what if you got another car at home? Are they going to stop you? What stops you from hopping in another car and driving around?
Yeah. I mean, especially if they took that away and you just hop on somebody else's car and drive, and you're basically driving illegally without anyone stopping you. I mean, unless they stop you again, but then you're making that risk upon yourself and other people.
If you think of it like this, that what's a lock for? A lock is to keep honest people honest.
Mm-hmm.
You think a criminal cares about a lock?
No.
Criminals don't care about locks. They don't care about the rules. That's why they're criminals. People that are maybe not criminals, but they're either road raging or driving crazy, like we've been talking about, zipping into your safe zone or driving 100 miles an hour down the interstate with no regard to anybody. I know of pilots that are like that, unfortunately. And that's a federal license, right? Well,
yeah.
Again, there's not enough of the federal people to go around and stop it. So what keeps them from going and doing their thing? As long as they're not hurting anybody, I'm not saying it's okay, but my point is, as long as they're not hurting anybody, they're getting away with it.
Yeah.
That's what I really want to say.
That's really the universal truth.
That doesn't make it okay. It's just that
people are going to fact. Yeah, they're always going to do what they want. And again, we're not trying to dog on anybody in their rights or anything like that. It's just be mindful of people that are around you, people that also has the same rights for you, and everyone's equal in that aspect. It doesn't have anybody that's like, well, I'm better at you than that, so I have this right away. And like, that's not how it generally works in humanity. I think it's more on, can we do this in a equal platform way to where we can also help each other to make things easier. And as an example of that analogy that I made up, and probably doesn't make sense to most people because it makes sense to me. Like, for example, I'm not trying to say we should be like them, but in another country, I think it was Singapore, I saw a video where every civilian in the main interstate it wasn't Singapore, maybe it was Korea, one of those Asian countries. They made an effort in a heavy traffic area to get out of the way so the ambulance can go through. But if you see that here, people will not attempt because they're trying to get somewhere.
Right.
So it's not necessarily a thing where I'm ungrateful of being a citizen here. It's more on like, why can't we as a human society just take our pride away for a moment, get out of the way, and then also help with each other? Like, okay, how can we make this flow faster and not so like, I need to get through, otherwise I'm never going to get through. And that goes both ways, not just for civilians, but for police officers. I'm also thankful that you guys are doing your jobs and stuff. But when it comes to traffic and you guys guiding them, you guys need to be a little bit better and pick that up. That's only for certain cities. I'm not going to say certain towns, but like, for example, if there's a wreck, first thing in order, you should somehow maintain the flow of traffic. And what I mean by that is, if you're going to get people to go around and stuff, like, make an effort to somewhat be engineerical about it, to make the flow kind of go as much as you can.
Right. Be cognitive of what's going on around you. Right. Don't go through life in a haze of not knowing what's behind you, what's to the right and left of you, what's in front of you, what's coming down the road. Look in your mirrors. I mean, that's part of driving. That's just the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, and watch out for motorcycles. Remember, what is it? They say you can hold up a pencil and you can blank out a motorcycle.
Yeah.
I was actually on the airport taxiing an airplane, and we have a little hill on one of the taxiways, but this twin engine airplane that was on the taxiway all of a sudden was gone. Like, it went, I thought he was like raptured,
Yeah.
But it turned out that it was, as I came up the hill, I finally saw it. He was at the end of the runway, getting ready to take off. But just that little bit of lift in the hill had disappeared, made the whole airplane disappear, which was crazy. So, and the stuff that can happen in just a few seconds. Over the weekend, I went camping, and I was driving on a country road, and it was dark and it was late and trying to get to the campsite. And I looked away for just a second, and I looked up and was going around a curve, and my adrenaline pumped up.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
I thought, I need to be looking at the road. And I was trying to look at the map, and I didn't have a holder for my mapping device at the time. It was my phone. But I wasn't holding it in my hand. I had it in a cup holder, but I had to look away from the front windshield for a second. So I got to get another phone mount so that I can mount the phone in front of me in that vehicle. But
yeah,
it's kind of spooky.
You said that was using your rear view mirrors, or
no. I was using the phone as a map.
Oh, that's right.
And I looked away it said something like, "Oh, your turn is
just
coming
like
up."
a split second.
She doesn't sound like that, but she doesn't go, "Oh, your turn is coming up."
You have it as like an Australian or New Zealand accent.
Yeah, something like that.
I always liked. I think you found out in some article, and I've always applied it, and it's actually helped me in pretty tight situations. And this is we're going to maybe stretch away from road rage and now talk about things you could do and to improve yourself. One of the things that I found very helpful that Dad showed me was your rear view mirror placement. So for those that don't know, you have 3 rear view mirrors. You have the center one that's inside your car that you can just adjust. Mostly you want basically the middle of your view. So what I mean by that is kind of align the center of your car with your rear view mirror as far as what's behind you. So that way you can see not only the back seat, you can see behind you in the lanes that you're passing by. The left and right rear view mirrors, and some people will occasionally do this. They will adjust those 2 mirrors to where, for example, if it's my left rear view mirror, a lot of people will have the right side to get as close to the car as possible. That is actually more dangerous than the trick that you showed me.
Mm-hmm.
The reason being is, as soon as the car passes you by and gets past that left edge on the left rear view mirror, they're actually on your blind spot.
Right.
Like,
correct.
Yeah. So you can probably see them if you move your head, but if you're like in a fast lane, you have no time to move your head. You really only have your peripherals of your eyes. So Dad found an article and suggested doing this. And that's basically to adjust both your left and right. And I'm going to use the left mirror as an example. So once you have that right side of your left mirror close to where you can almost see the side of your car, move it actually even further out until, what was the trick again?
So your vision is not looking down. Like you said, normally people adjust it so they can see straight back down the parallel side of their car, right? Well, no car is going to come up right in that spot, especially if you have the rear view mirror adjusted. Now there's trailers and things like that where the inside mirror is not going to help you out. But if you tilt the mirror out away so that you now have vision over into the left lane a little bit, what I do, and I think what I had told you was they suggested is just capture just a piece of the side of your car. Like, I don't want to see the whole side of my car. I don't want to see that. I tilt it out to the left. So now I'm looking at the view, if you will, starts at the side of my car, but mostly what I'm seeing is off to the left. Same thing with the right mirror then is the same principle, just on the opposite side. Is I don't need to see what's straight back, because if my inside rearview mirror is covering my full angle behind me, I already have that. And yes, we got rear pillars or some blind spots inside your vehicle, then you're going to miss that. But I think what we're essentially doing is, before the cars came out with the side radars that let you know, hey, somebody's coming up on your side, and it flashes or whatever in the mirror or turns a color, then this methodology of widening your angle of view, if you will, the vision that you see as a driver, lets you see more off to your left and right to try to keep people out of your blind spots.
And that what that does is, if you had to imagine what this looks like. So imagine you're looking at your rear view mirror and you see a car coming, and it's coming on your left side. Once the car is out of vision from your middle rear view mirror on the left side, once it starts to pass that line of vision, that should automatically then come into view on your left view mirror. So it's kind of like a weird mirror effect, to where like you see the car in the rear view mirror, and then somehow it's like almost like a bridge. It goes out of view of the rear view mirror, but then you start seeing the sight in the left rear view mirror, and then you have that same concept, but with your field of vision. So what I mean is, now it's in the left rear view mirror. When that car starts to leave that left rear view mirror sight, you should automatically start seeing the car passing by from your field of vision on the left side of your eyelid.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what Dad is trying to describe, is that methodology of pointing your rear view mirrors to make it to where you can see almost all of your vision that's behind you. And once they get past those points, then you can see it in your field of vision that's in front of you. That way, in this methodology, you have a 360 vision of anything that's basically around your car.
That's what's behind you. Yeah. It's funny. I did a quick search and you can find these things, these tips and pointers out on the internet. The one that says the driver's side view mirror. So only adjust it so that only a tiny bit of the car side is visible. That's what I was saying. You just barely make the side of your car visible, so that the mirror is actually looking as if you turned your head to the left and over your shoulder. Now the mirror is doing that for you. So the less head movements you have to make, you really shouldn't have to move your head too much.
Not really. Yeah.
You don't have to worry about flying into clouds, so you won't get vertigo. But you should be able to just shift your eyes, maybe with a quick head bob one way or the other, to see what's in your mirrors, so that you can keep your focus on what's in front of you. What's another tip you can do when you're driving is plan ahead, right? How many times do you get it? Drivers get into trouble because
they don't see.
They go, "Oh, I just passed my exit." Well, what were you thinking about 5 miles ago?
Most of the time, it's talking to people. Like for me, I always miss it when I talk to you.
And
guys.
if you're going 60 on the highway, when most people are going way faster than that on the highway, if you're going 60 on a highway, you're gonna burn a mile in 60 seconds, more or less. Yeah. Right.
Or if you know there's traffic coming in front, then you have a smartphone. There's Waze, there's Google Maps, there's other map apps I can't think of, where you can see these traffics coming up front and you can plan to divert your route.
Right.
Another tip: use your indicator lights. use your lights. I don't care what it is. If you're going left, go left.
Turn on your semaphore. That's the little flip thing that used to come out in the old Volkswagen.
Even if you're going to make a 3-lane cut across because you almost missed your exit, I would be more understandable if you're like, oh crap, I have to turn. I'm sorry. Put my right turn signal. I'm going to cut across, and like you do that. If I see you doing that, I'm smart enough to know like he almost missed his exit. He needed to cut across. Right. Whereas if you're just going to cut across just because, I'm like,
no, it's road rage.
Now it's road raging. Yeah. It's not necessarily like they should be doing that, and I understand if people can't multifunction like that, but I'm just saying, to get people less irritated at you and to make things a little bit easier on everybody, just put on some sort of signal.
I think people are going to be easier on the person that forgot. And you can kind of tell they're looking like super worried. They might be from out of town or something or other, like, oh my goodness, I just missed my exit. I don't know the town very well. Who knows how many miles I'm going to have to drive before I can turn around? As opposed to the guy that comes up, you see him come up in the right lane and passes over 4 or 5 lanes to the left just to get around everybody so that he can get back over to the right lane and almost causes more than one accident just doing that so they can get off at their favorite exit. That's not being courteous and not using turn signals.
Also, when people are trying to turn and they have a turn signal on heavy traffic, let them through.
What did we see? What was the 3 C's we came up with?
Common courtesy. What?
Common courtesy.
Cars.
And cars. See, the 3 C's or something like that. We're going to come up with a national campaign.
Yeah. The 3 C's.
That's right.
Cars, common, and courtesy.
Ken's crew comes up with the 3 C's for driving.
I don't want to sponsor this.
Well, okay. No, we want to be rewarded for it.
Another thing everyone should be mindful are, what do signs say and what do they mean?
Stop.
What does that mean?
Oh, I don't know.
It means stop.
But how do you define it without using the word?
In vehicle terms, make sure the vehicle is at a complete motionless.
Come up to this line area and don't move anymore. There. I defined it without saying the word stop.
What's yield?
Come up to this area, and if you're going to go to this next area, kind of look around and be courteous about letting other people go before you because you are not allowed to go just yet. That's a yield.
For those that go onto these ramps and you see a yield sign, if you see a yield sign on your thing, that means you have to slow down with any other vehicle that's coming from another lane. That means you have to potentially stop. Doesn't necessarily mean slow down. It means you have to potentially stop. If, like, we have this ramp near our hometown, and I have no idea how many times this has happened where I come in and I have a yield sign, and the people that are coming from the other direction are coming onto the ramp as well. But I have the yield sign to where, like, okay, and it feels kind of like a stop sign if you saw how the infrastructures went, because the oncoming traffic is kind of like those winding ramps that goes like that
big curve
that kind of converges into the road, where mine is more like, oh, you're just coming in from the other side and making a direct left turn. So in that case, I'm supposed to yield and wait for oncoming traffic because they're coming in at a high speed. I just came from slowing down.
Mm-hmm.
Those people see me and automatically think, oh, they're coming in, and they slow down, and irritates the crap out of me. And I know they
wave out the window too and go, oh,
no, they don't.
Go ahead. You just go ahead.
I've seen those people too, where like if there's 4-way stops and people are like, no, come in. I don't care how nice you are. I don't care if you're from the South. I'd rather you be that mean New Yorker uptown or something.
You're stereotyping.
No, that's true. I am. How about Northerners? Is that still stereotyping?
Yes.
I'd rather you get with the flow of the process of coming to a stop sign. You made a stop and you're basically the next one to go because you have the right of way, instead of like stopping and having 2 others come right after you and like, you know what, I'm going to feel chivalrous today and let everybody else go, when there's someone possibly behind them saying, what the heck are you doing?
I like the country 4-way stop, right? Where you can see that the car to your right has been at the stop sign for,
I saw that last week.
5 or 10 seconds, if not minutes. before you get to the stop sign.
Yeah.
And then you pull up to the stop sign. You come to a complete stop and you look to your right and they look at you and they start waving out like, oh, bless your heart. You just go ahead.
Yeah, you just go.
And you just kind of look at them and they go, oh, no. And they keep waving you on. And, I don't know if they're having a cup of coffee or what they're doing. And,
I don't know.
And it's the same.
Some of them were like, they would literally stop and be on their phone because they couldn't figure out something. But they're like, different. Oh, no, you come in. But there was someone behind them. And like, you can't figure out your directional problem off the road somewhere besides at a like busy intersection. It doesn't make sense to me. If you're going to do something, if you're confused, pull over on the side of the road or go to a parking lot. You're in the way.
Yeah. Okay. Guys, ask for directions.
I don't mind asking directions. Another thing I just had in my head and I forgot.
Oh, there it goes. I just saw it.
Roundabouts.
Yes.
You guys need to look up a YouTube video. You need to find out how to function these European weird roundabouts. That idea, because I don't like it when you guys look right as if somebody is coming from the right side when it's a roundabout. A roundabout is one way and it's only going to come from the left side. So I don't know why you're looking to the right thinking that someone's going to be coming on the right side when it's a one way.
Maybe they're left.
Also, the roundabout, whenever you're yielding, again, when the yield and roundabout mixed in together, people just don't know what to do on a roundabout. I went to a roundabout, and when vehicles are within the roundabout, I'm sorry, but they have the right of way, no matter what, because a roundabout is a continuous flow of traffic, in a sense. Now, I had a guy, I was in the roundabout going into it and about to go out of it going left. If we were like going into another road, I was essentially going left. And I was about to get out of this roundabout, and this guy on this very nice classic car had a yield and thought he's going to slow down. I didn't have a right turn signal. I wasn't going to pull off from that side or whatever. The guy didn't even bother to look at me, and he started to go out, and I had to stop. And he looks at me. I looked at him, and I threw up my hands and be like, and I literally like try to spell it out from like, why? And he had like other people with him, and he kind of drove off, and I kind of just stared at him down, and I just perplexed on how people, even here in this new roundabout near our town, people don't know how to respond to a roundabout. They think they have to make a complete stop. Here's the thing about yield signs. I understand they're super confusing because I just said potentially you have to stop. I said potentially. That what I mean by that is if there's so much traffic to where you can't move forward, you potentially have to stop eventually.
Maybe it should say that. Maybe it should say yield.
Check out the definition.
And PHTS.
I don't know what you're trying to spell. What are you trying to spell?
Potentially have to stop.
Potentially. But it also means like if there is enough room to go, like keep going. Think of it as almost like a yellow light. Like, well,
go faster.
No, it's more like, oh, it's about to change. I'm kind of already at that point of no return to slow down or stop. I will keep going. It's kind of like that, but in a longer, not such a short range time frame.
Right.
Yield is more like just be wary around you. You can go if you have room to go. And people, I don't know why they can't get that through their skull.
It's round.
So if it would be more square.
Well, there's a lot of wasted space out in the middle of most roundabouts.
Yeah,
but
like
maybe they should have like a big circular video, like you go, you, hey you. But it only happens to the person that's facing in from their street that they're coming in.
Yeah,
and then there's lots of crashes.
I just wish people, and they never when I took my driver's test, we never went through a roundabout. We never went through a roundabout. No one told us.
Yeah, roundabouts. They didn't have roundabouts in class. How do they teach that now?
That's true.
The instructor probably has to go, okay, this is a circle. Can anybody else tell me what this looks like? It looks like the sun.
What they can do? We have VR headsets now. Can we install like
driver's education in VR and then apply shock when they don't do it right?
Well, I wouldn't go that far.
I would.
I know you would. Just like if they get into a wreck, they can feel what right. Other people feel.
Yeah.
Like how about like 10% of pain, like in
Ghostbusters when Bill Murray shotgun the girl?
Yeah.
Or the guy, because you like the girl.
What other?
Or the roundabout in European Vacation where Chevy Chase is caught for hours and it like turns to night because he can't get out of that.
Yes, because he can't get out of it.
It's somewhere in Italy or something around there. He's just laughing out of craziness.
Look, I understand roundabouts are a foreign idea, but it can work.
We have squareabouts.
Do we?
There's stop signs, four-way
stop.
Or is that a crossabout?
I find roundabouts
could be an X
much easier and faster because it continues the traffic, whereas stop signs you kind of have to stop.
They do say that the roundabouts typically cut down on accidents. Typically, for where they're located. Can you have a roundabout when there's just 3 streets?
Yeah, you can.
Or is it a triangular route?
No. Roundabouts, you can have a 3-way.
We need a roundabout with spikes.
Where? Oh, with spikes? Why?
Or humps.
Why?
Roundabout with speed bumps.
Why?
Because the people that accelerate from our corner.
But that doesn't have a roundabout.
Me. Yeah.
We just need a bump in that street.
With spikes.
No, we don't need spikes.
And sleeping gas.
We just have to have... Dad, when I was a kid, would always want I wish I just had this machine thing that comes out of my car, and what is it? Incinerates the cars except for the passengers.
Knocks out their ignition.
Okay,
so that they have to figure out what's going on, and then maybe after 10 minutes, their car will restart.
Yeah,
I'm gonna invent that.
I'm sure they've already invented that.
Cars are more electronic nowadays than the EMPs.
So you're basically making an EMP bomb.
I'm not making anything. Nobody sees me winking or anything like that. I'm not making anything that is destructive. It might make you late for your appointment if you're going to drive like a maniac.
Now they could do that. Now that cars are being more electrical and stuff, they could probably do like a safety. Like you're going based on our GPS and what we know that this road, the miles per hour speed limit is, we're going to slow down your car or limit your
put a governor on it.
Like limit your RPG.
The governor.
Yeah.
Governs the speed. That's what they do on trucks. Like we had the moving van trying to go over 65. No matter how hard you put the accelerator down, it wouldn't go over 65.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
they could do that.
They could. We don't want Big Brother too much telling us what to do.
Big Brother Tech or Big Brother Government?
Either one.
Or is it Big Brother Government and Little Brother Tech?
It's Big Brother, the one that's twice older than me. No. Yeah, no, we don't need no more of that.
Do you have any other advice to give to our audience?
Drive safe. Just drive safe.
Yeah.
You're not the only one on the road. I'm not the only one on the road. We share the road.
If you have to get somewhere quick, make sure it's an emergency. If you're late to work, that's on you.
Yep.
Sorry.
Hey, can you be on time for work? Yes. Get up earlier. Stop partying. Go to bed later. Yeah. Whatever it needs to be.
Make better decisions in life.
And be on time for church. If you can be on time for work, you can be on time for church or other appointments. And take some time off and relax.
Yep. I think that'll about do it for this episode.
It wasn't super funny this time around. It was a little more serious.
It was engaging.
Yeah, we still had fun.
I've been holding a lot of grudges with just people driving in general.
Yes.
And I include myself in it, but for me particular, it's just always been more on like, can you pick up the pace a little bit? Like I understand this is a 35, but you and I both know we know it's supposed to be 40.
Right.
At least 5 more. It feels like a lot of roads that I've been on should be at least 5 miles per hour more.
Oh, and I will say this: if you have a sports car of some kind, they're cool. Mustangs, Corvette. It's the only 2 I can think of. Miata. I don't know. Sports cars, right?
Yeah.
Drive it like a sports car. Not crazy. Not a maniac. Use the accelerator a little bit. Make it go. Don't drive 35 in a 45.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a sports car. Muscle up a little bit.
I will say,
put the top down.
Because I'm older, why are they so dang loud?
Well, yeah. Yeah. Now he's becoming like his dad. That's what I'm talking about. We need a silencer fence or something out there.
That's almost impossible.
No,
what we could do is make a frequency that, like noise canceling headphones, we just make a frequency that bubble that just goes towards the
to the driver,
to the
pipe. Well, we just pump that sound right into the driver's head.
Yeah.
Hey, you want to make your sound?
Here you go.
Make them feel like their car is really making that kind of noise.
Are they trying to attract deer or doe?
All we hear when they go by is go.
Is it like do they think it's like attraction for like doe to come by and like, oh, look, let me hear how loud that is one more time. That's
what it is. I must say that when I was a kid and borrowed the Suburban, I would flip the air cleaner cover over just so I could go through small downtown that I grew up in, and go whoa, just to make sound and make people look. And then they would look around going, oh, where's the cool car at? And it was just a Chevy Suburban.
It was never like that with most people. It'd be like, why is he so dang loud? Like, so we'll try and leave this here because we're running out of time. I only find it the only reason they always rev up their cars and it's so loud is they think it will attract people. I'm like, oh my gosh. Oh yes. I love the sound of that. Or it also challenges people for other people to also do that. It's like animals just trying to like one up each other and see who's the alpha, which I'm kind of sick and tired. Like, we're all alphas here.
They just might like the cool sound.
I doubt that it's one of those people.
There's some airplanes that I like that are cool.
Yeah, but do they have to do that in the middle of the night?
Oh, sometimes.
Then go somewhere else. Go to the Nashville Speedway route. That's a big enough road for them to do that kind of stuff.
Name that car.
Look, I'm lame and I'm getting older. But sometimes I just don't want to hear that. Sometimes I do. Like if I'm at a NASCAR Speedway, sure, right. I would love to hear that all the time.
Right.
But not when we're in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
If you're
in the neighborhood. Well, with that, we want to thank you all for listening to us. We really are trying to do these more frequently, but we're like you. Life gets in the way, and we have job responsibilities, home responsibilities, family responsibilities, etc. Church things that just take up our time. So
yeah, I was mostly busy because of a church related thing. Been a part of a committee doing stuff, but we're hoping to pick this up pretty quickly. And in our next episode, Dad won't be in this one because I'm going to be talking with the Music Boys, Spencer Freeman and Jared.
Nice.
We're going to be talking some, and hopefully we'll get to do more food stuff with Dark Angels. That was a pretty fun episode.
Yeah, they're actually wanting to do something else. We might do spicy chicken sandwiches.
Oh, spicy. Oh my gosh.
Or maybe Chinese food or something. Who knows?
We should do wings. I'm kind of hungry for
wings. Wings or pizza.
So if you want to check out any of those episodes, if you haven't, just the quickest way is to go to kenscrew.com. There'll be 3 sections. There'll be Ken's Conversation, which is where our podcast is held at on any major platforms. Ken's Game, which is YouTube, which we're about to do our first episode. You and I did with Sly Cooper. Yeah, it's going to be this Friday, September 24th ish, whenever this episode comes out.
Nice.
And of course, we also have Ken's blog where we talk about anything and everything under the categories of lifestyle, aviation, video games, movies.
I've got 2 entries out there for aviation already.
Yeah. So check out our Ken's blog to see what we write about, and especially with Dad's aviation. He has a ton of experience in aviation and has a lot to talk about. So shoot us over there, and we will see y'all next time.
I'm Ken.
And I'm Kenny.
See you.
Bye.